The fifth process of the deliver service and support domain, called Manage Security Services, has 7 practices. The second practice is to manage the network security. The entities responsible are the head of IT development, the head of IT operations, and the information security manager. The entity that is held accountable is the Chief Information Security Officer. The practice receives 2 inputs, which are the data classification guidelines from the AP01 process, and the service level agreements from the AP09 process. It generates 2 outputs, which are the connectivity security policy to be used by the AP01 process, and the results of penetration tests to be used by the MEA2 process. The activities involved in this practice include establishing a connectivity security policy based on the business requirements and risk assessments. Only authorized devices should be allowed access to the enterprise network. Network filtering should be performed using firewalls and intrusion prevention systems. Transmitted information should be encrypted if required, and network devices should be configured securely. Periodic penetration testing should be performed, and periodic testing of system security should be carried out. The third practice is to manage endpoint security. The entities responsible are the head of IT development, the head of IT operations, and the information security manager. The entity that is held accountable is the Chief Information Security Officer. The practice receives several inputs that include the information architecture model from the AP03 process, the service level agreements from the AP09 process, and the results of physical inventory checks from the BAI9 process. It generates 1 output, which is the security policies for endpoint devices to be used by the AP01 process. The activities involved in this practice include configuring the operating system security, and encrypting information in storage. Remote access and control should be managed, and network traffic filtering at the endpoint level should be performed. The system integrity should be protected, and the physical security of endpoint devices should be ensured. Device lockdown mechanisms should be implemented, and the disposal of devices should be performed securely. The fourth practice is to manage the user identity and logical access. The entities that are responsible are the business process owners, the head of IT operations, and the information security manager. The entity that is held accountable is the Chief Information Security Officer. The practice receives 2 inputs, which are the definition of IT roles and responsibilities from the AP01 process, and the information architecture model from the AP03 process. It generates 2 outputs, which are the approved user access rights, and the results of reviews of user accounts and privileges, both to be used internally. The activities involved in this practice include maintaining the user access based on the business requirements. The access rights should be granted based on the defined roles and responsibilities, based on the principle of need to know. All information-related activities should be defined. All access to information should be authenticated based on their classification, and changes to the access rights should be properly administered. Privilege accounts should be segregated and managed. Reviews of all the accounts should be regularly performed, and an audit trail of information access should be maintained.